The date he wrote this preface, which was 1555, until the year 3797. He couldn't see beyond that, but it doesn't mean that that's the end of the world.
The accuracy of his predictions surprised the world. He is Nostradamus, the 16th century French astrologer. The Les Prophéties is said to be a secret book when recording Nostradamus's prophecies to this world. The more time passes, the more Nostradamus's prophecy is confirmed. Credited with foretelling major world events such as the death of the French King Henry II and the rise to power of Adolf Hitler, Nostradamus made countless predictions about the past, the present, and the future. Nostradamus has predicted a large number of huge historical events. Could his streak continue in 2025? Who was this man? Nostradamus was born in France in 1503. He first worked as a physician and began his medical practice in the 1530s, although he did so without a medical degree. He began making prophecies about 1547, and he published his prophecies in a book entitled Centuries. He wrote his prophecies in quatrains, 4 lines of rhyming verse. The quatrains were grouped in hundreds. Each set of 100 quatrains was called a century. Nostradamus's predictions tended to be about general types of events, like natural disasters and conflict-related events that tend to occur regularly as time goes on. Some people believe that his prophecies have predicted actual events, such as the death of Henry II, the French Revolution, the rise of Napoleon, the rise of Adolf Hitler. Others maintain that because his prophecies tend to be about general types of events that occur frequently throughout history and are written in a cryptic and vague manner, it's possible to find one that seems to match almost any event that has occurred. The predictions of Nostradamus can be as accurate or as lax as you want to believe. The prophecies of Nostradamus were written in an ancient form of the French language, worded metaphorically. So many people feel confused about the authenticity of this man's prophecy. However, most of Nostradamus's prophecies have come true and are showing signs of coming true. We will learn about prophecies that came true later in this video. Let's wait and see. Belief comes from each person. You have the right to choose your decision. And whether it is true or not, we can only wait for time to prove it. For now, let's see this man's predictions for 2025. An end to the Ukraine conflict? February 2022 witnessed a major escalation in Eastern European tensions with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. In the intervening months and years, hundreds of thousands of casualties have occurred and millions have been displaced in the continent's biggest crisis since World War II. But could an end be in sight in 2025? Through long war, all the army exhausted, so that they do not find money for the soldiers. Instead of gold or silver, they will come to coin leather, Gallic brass, and the crescent sign of the moon. An exhausted army and even more exhausted coffers could spell the end of hostilities, though how exactly it will come about remains uncertain. The mention of Gallic brass hints at French involvement, while the crescent moon points to Turkey. Both countries have expressed support for Ukraine in the past, so could perhaps have a role to play in the resolution of the conflict. War and plague to surface in Europe. However, things might not be all plain sailing on the European front, and this time the UK is implicated. When those from the lands of Europe see England set up her throne behind her flanks, there will be cruel wars. The ancient plague will be worse than enemies. The mention of England, the concept of Britain, didn't exist in Nostradamus's time. Withdrawing into itself is almost certainly a pointer to the Brexit referendum and its continuing fallout. But if worker shortages and border delays were bad enough, warnings of cruel wars and ancient plague sound a far more ominous note. Volcanoes and floods in Brazil. Are you noticing a pattern developing in Nostradamus's work yet? The oracle was very fond of both doom and indeed gloom, it seems, and he didn't restrict his pessimistic positing to this side of the Atlantic. Many have credited him with predicting the nightmare of America, but the words below could refer to the southern part of the Americas. Garden of the World, near the new city, in the path of the hollow mountains. It will be seized and plunged into the tub, forced to drink waters poisoned by sulfur. Garden of the World is surely the Amazon rainforest, while the new city could refer to the planned Brazilian capital of Brasilia. Mountainous terrain abounds in that part of the world, while the mention of being plunged into the tub suggests flooding, and sulfur implies volcanic activity. Mysterious rumblings near a long-dormant volcano set Cariocas on edge a couple of years ago. Could their misgivings be found to have a basis in 2025? Controversy in the EPL. In two separate quatrains, he makes reference to the cock besting the eagle, with football fans recognizing this as a clear allusion to Tottenham Hotspur, whose crest features a cockerel, and Crystal Palace, whose nickname is the Eagles. The cock will see the eagle, its wing poorly finished. By the lion will it be put into extremity? These lines suggest that Crystal Palace will be forced into dire financial straits by the Premier League, symbolized here by the lion, presumably for falling short of PSR regulations. Tottenham will then take advantage of their vulnerability by strengthening their own wing, which must mean they'll snap up Ebereki Ez. The hypothesis is confirmed later on with the line, "Weakness to the eagle, strength will be born to the cock." This prediction might happen in 2025 or not, who knows? The coming of the Antichrist. The third Antichrist is here, just as Nostradamus predicted. 5 centuries ago, Nostradamus wrote of 3 Antichrists. 2, Napoleon and Hitler, have already bathed the world in blood, but it is the third who will bring the apocalypse. And his time has come. There are many names mentioned in connection with the Antichrist. People have made a lot of speculations about the identity of this person. It could be a famous person, rich, eloquent, and able to convince people easily. He is suspected of being Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or even King Charles. But we also have no certainty about this person's identity. We only know that that evil person has most likely appeared and is showing off his power. We are living in a time when the battle between the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Satan is heating up as never before. I believe this is because we are nearing the return of Christ and the ultimate destruction of Satan's kingdom. Little children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that it is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest, that none of them were of us. But you have an anointing from the Holy One, and you know all things. I have not written to you because you do not know the truth, but because you know it, and that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar but he who denies that Jesus is the Christ? He is an Antichrist who denies the Father and the Son. Whoever denies the Son does not have the Father either. He who acknowledges the Son has the Father also. Please note that there is not one but many Antichrists. In the course of human history, many Antichrists have appeared and been manifested. Secondly, there is the Antichrist, one specific person. That is the final manifestation, the final product of the spirit of Antichrist, which has not yet been revealed in human history. I believe his shadow has already fallen across the stage, but we have not seen the actual person. But at the end of this age, Scripture makes it clear. There will be one final, supremely evil, supremely powerful ruler who will dominate the human race for a brief period, who will be the Antichrist. The third form is the spirit of the Antichrist. The spirit of the Antichrist is the spirit that operates through every Antichrist. So Antichrist always begins in some way in association with the people of God. But it does not really belong there, and in due course that will be made manifest. That is one mark of the spirit of the Antichrist. Wave of pestilence. The French seer also added that 2025 will see a huge famine brought on by a wave of pestilence. First, we talk about the famine. If we put Nostradamus' prophecy next to what the Bible teaches, you will see the coincidence that they both mention Famine. Back to the past, Israel occupied the rocky highlands of Canaan, the area of present-day Jerusalem and the hills to the north of it, rather than fertile coastal plains. Even in the best of years, it took enormous effort to coax sufficient sustenance out of the ground. The rainy seasons were brief. Any precipitation less than normal could be devastating. Across the ancient Near East, drought and famine were feared. In the 13th century BC, nearly all of the Eastern Mediterranean civilizations collapsed because of a prolonged drought. In the book of Deuteronomy, God proclaims that if Israel obeys the laws, the Lord will open for you his bounteous store, the heavens, to provide rain for your land in season. Disobedience, however, will have the opposite effect. The skies above your head shall be copper, and the earth under you iron. The Lord will make the rain of your land dust, and sand shall drop on you from the sky until you are wiped out. To ancient Israelites, there was no such thing as nature as we understand it today, and no such thing as chance. If things were good, it was because God was happy. If things were going badly, it was because the deity was angry. For a national catastrophe like famine, the sin had to lie either with the entire people or with the monarchs who represented them, and it was the task of prophets and oracles to determine the cause of the divine wrath. Famine was seen as both punishment and opportunity. Suffering opened the door for repentance and change. For example, when the famously wise King Solomon inaugurates the temple in Jerusalem, he prays that God will be forgiving when, in the future, a famine-stricken Israel turns toward the newly built temple for mercy. In the book of Samuel, we read that Israel endured a 3-year famine in the time of David, considered Israel's greatest king. When David inquires as to the cause of the famine, he is told that it is due to the sins of his predecessor and mortal enemy, Saul. For someone, famine was both an ending, the result of disobedience and sin, and also a beginning, a potential turning point toward a better, more faithful future. Second, many believe the wave of pestilence in Nostradamus' word, widely believed to describe deadly earthquakes. Let's take a closer look at these verses. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places, and famines. These are the beginning of birth pains. Doubtless, somewhere people will again start to use such disasters as signs that we are living in the last days. Or, to put it more accurately, since the New Testament consistently insists the last days began with Christ's first coming, they will insist that we are living in the last days of the last days. But wait, Revelation depicts apocalyptic earthquakes during the tribulation itself, of a greater magnitude than anything the world has ever seen. But the place in Scripture where people turn to make a link between ordinary earthquakes and the nearness of the end is Jesus' Olivet Discourse. Earthquakes and famines, these are mere the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her that the body wants to bring into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. World War III. On the other hand, the Frenchmen predicted the beginning of a new world war, 79 years after the end of the second one. A confrontation around China is something that many geopolitical experts and journalists have started to see in the changing dynamics and rise of China as a global power. In the past, China has showcased its brute force several times in regions around the South, China Sea and Taiwan, most of them through its naval ships. Analysts believe this may allude to the escalating conflict in Asia, with China involving NATO countries, potentially leading to a violent military conflict or an all-out war. Nostradamus also predicted something similar to this centuries ago. In one of his quatrains, he wrote about combat and naval battle. He said that the red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Some think that the red adversary could be referring to China. He could well be referring to what happened in Ukraine, the China-Taiwan conflict, or Palestine. Some interpreters point to every earthquake, every political upheaval, and every attack on Israel as a sure sign that the end times are rapidly approaching. While the events may signal the approach of the last days, they are not necessarily indicators that the end times have arrived. The Apostle Paul warned that the last days would bring a marked increase in false teaching. The Spirit clearly says that in later times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. The last days are described as perilous times because of the increasingly evil character of man and people who actively oppose the truth. Throughout Christian history, believers have speculated that the prophesied end times were just about to start. Some audacious ones have even set specific dates. People predicting end times dates usually focus on things like wars, increasing wickedness, and natural disasters. They talk about bad things like the increased fierceness of storms, the surge of killer viruses, severe famines and droughts, and escalating tensions between nations. There is no doubt that world war will be a part of the future. Christ plainly taught that there would be war prior to his return. Jesus foretold, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." Similarly, Revelation 6:4 foretold a symbolic horseman representing warfare that would take peace away from the earth. To be more specific, the future does hold at least one more world war. There is nothing in Scripture that says there will be only a certain number of world wars. World Wars I and II are not explicitly mentioned in Scripture, nor is a possible third world war. It is only the last war that is mentioned in detail, which allows the interpretation that there may be others before the final conflict. So, although there will be at least one more world war, there is no doubt of the outcome. Righteousness will prevail as Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, defeats all who oppose him. It is also worth mentioning at this time that following the 1,000-year reign of Christ, there will be another uprising which could possibly have the scope of a world war. Satan will be bound for 1,000 years and then released. Upon his release, he leads a rebellion among the peoples of the earth. Christ quickly puts down this rebellion and permanently judges Satan, casting him into the lake of fire as he did with the beast, Antichrist, and the false prophet. Global troubles. In Les Prophéties published in 1555, Nostradamus also mentioned that in 2025 there will be a number of troubles happening globally, including increased conflicts, geopolitical problems, wars at sea, problems with the royal family, and a major humanitarian disaster. But the biggest worry that humanity faces in 2025 is likely to be nature, when a series of climate disasters are predicted to occur and threaten human life. The dry earth will become drier, and suddenly a great flood will come. This is a verse taken from the work Les Prophéties, showing what Nostradamus predicted in 2025. To describe this verse, it can be understood that the already harsh climate situation will get worse. The French prophet predicts that extreme weather phenomena, such as record heat, forest fires, droughts, and storms, will increasingly occur with greater frequency and intensity. Global warming is a huge phenomenon going on in the modern day. The Bible does not specifically talk about climate change or global warming. However, the Bible does tell us the world will eventually be burned in fire, which could be another way to understand how alarming the Earth's condition will gradually become. 2 Peter 3:10 informs us, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare. God will one day erase this current universe and replace it with the new heavens and new earth. How much effort should be made saving a planet that God is eventually going to obliterate and replace with a planet so amazing and wonderful that the current Earth pales in comparison? Space age. Next, we come to the postmodern Nostradamus prediction of the space age in the 30th century, after the Fourth Industrial Revolution. In a far remote area of Asia, a local social scientist driven by its natural instinct in the spirits of heaven, beyond by the sixth sense of human intelligence, decoded the social and technological predictions of the 30th century. Let's imagine the timeline of the space age discusses the stages of its technological, social, and economic development in the 20th century to the 30th century along Age of Modern Culture, Age of the Novice Space Exploration, Age of Commercial Space Aviation Development, Age of Peripheral Space Exploration, Age of Outside Peripheral Space Exploration, Matured Space Age. Let's first talk about the Age of Modern Culture. This stage presents the societal modern life with the sustained commercial development of electronics, information technologies, and applications of other technological gadgets. The presence of evolving commercial technology packaged of computers, laptops, iPod, cell phones, with a combination of a satellite-powered enterprise of the internet, cable, and communication lines. It has active form of social interaction in the sustained development of the modern culture as a result of the technological development of the 21st century. Second, it's about the age of the novice space exploration. This stage generates an integrated support of the 5 decades of space exploration from Apollo spacecraft in the 1960s to the shuttle exploration of the 2012. It utilizes electronic and nuclear technology to benchmark the future spacecraft in a highly dangerous solar habitat. This will take off in the development commercial aviation to live and experience outer weightlessness in space and levels of the Earth atmosphere. It will begin the lucrative business of the early commercialization of space experience by the wealthy class of the society. The age of modern culture will continuously flourish in a wide-range commercial information technology as converged its matured integration in the age of novice exploration. This will be used for the next 5 decades to validate and evaluate the peripheral Earth conditions of the solar system, to enhance the protection of space passengers in 2020 to the timeline of 2100. It is important to include the age of the novice space exploration for the space forecast on whatever changes that will happen until 2100 within the range of the age of commercial space aviation development. It must be noted that the next stage in the prelude of the space age will still utilize whatever technological inventions and discoveries in the age of modern culture and age of novice space exploration. The baseline of value life experience has still in the age of modern culture. However, the cultural adjustment and adaptation will still follow the innovative transition of the technological gadgets, such as utilization of internet and satellite technologies for the commercial innovation of iPod, cell phones, laptop, cable TV, and more. Third is the age of commercial space aviation development, after the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This stage will continuously explore a better quality assurance for space aviation industry in addressing the concern no longer an excitement of weightlessness, but a hindrance to further provide better experience and life support in the space travel. The timeline will take centuries to survive, as the transition phase of modern culture and commercial aviation remained matured and dormant to solve the gravitational weightlessness and life sustenance of food and oxygen in the space. The innovative technologies of the age of modern cultures will still carry on until the age of commercial space aviation development. as the exploratory process of the next 3 decades, from 2018 to 2050, will provide the quality assurance to entertain the space passengers of the actual experience of the weightlessness in space and beyond the atmosphere looking at the blue planet. This will be affordable only to the wealthy class and other high-income bracket in the world to feel, live, and experience in the space. In year 2200 to 2300, the global competition will remain high for commercial space aviation, as the age of modern cultures will transform the cultural adaptation, as it will diffuse, amalgamate, and integrate space consciousness for the next generation on the gradual development of space age. At the 2300 to 2400, the commercial space aviation industry will redefine its quality space service in the promotion of the space habitat within the periphery of the Earth's surface after the boundaries of satellite flight within the range of Earth and Moon. This will spell the difference of the corporate world in the dominance of its powerhouse in the spacecraft and space capsule. The reinvention of space hotels, space capsule, spacecraft mall, and other space facilities will be habitable to the human society. Fourth, it's the age of peripheral space exploration. The result of commercial aviation of the space will transform to introduce the peripheral space life within the Earth distance on outer Moon. The introduction of the space capsule and spacecraft as the main habitat support in highly hazard solar system will be developed for this stage. The Earth's surface will redefine the modern cultures to space cultures as extracted to the phenomenal support of the space age after 5 centuries of development. The social and technological prediction will come on the advent of the invention and discovery into the development of simulated biological gravitation and life sustenance, oxygen and food support of space capsule and spacecraft habitat forming. The commercialization will shift no longer in aviation development, but also the interplanetary exploration of International Space Corporation. The Earth's surface will also redefine new sources of technological materials taken from the interplanetary exploration as the depletion of Earth resources in the Middle East and Asia. In year 2500, the commercial space aviation industry will mature as the space habitat as it will conduct the commercial space exploration. The international commercial enterprise and state enterprise will explore the solar system on its mineral and chemical resources to produce space facilities and equipment. The turn of the centuries on peripheral solar exploitation as space bases and habitat sustain the life structures in highly dangerous interplanetary system will continue to strive in this development stage. On the other hand, the human culture no longer be the same of its cultural adaptation, as it will be highly different and defined by its consciousness in sustaining space age period. Fifth is the age of outside peripheral space exploration. The next centuries after the age of commercial aviation development of the space will boost the interplanetary exploration as the main gate of planetary life will continuously exist in the outside the solar system. By the end of the 2500, the space exploration will continuously expand to the outside the solar system as the earthly humans will be able to conduct an advanced, tangible search beyond the galaxy and Milky Way of the universe. The timeline of the outside peripheral exploration outside the solar system will consumed in the next 3 centuries of development as human habitat will learn to live deep in space outside the solar system. By the end of the 2500, the space exploration will continuously expand to the outside the solar system as the earthly humans will be able to conduct an advanced, tangible search beyond the galaxy and Milky Way of the universe. The timeline of the outside peripheral exploration outside the solar system will consumed in the next 3 centuries of development as human habitat will learn to live deep in space outside the solar system. The last one is the matured space age. The matured space age will be the prelude of age of peripheral and outside peripheral exploration, as the humanity will be able to perfect the hazardous life in space and its interplanetary challenges in the solar system. It will be the 30th century when perfected the genuine space age. At the end of the 30th century, the peripheral life of the solar system and within the space realm of the galaxy and Milky Way of the universe will mature by the boundaries of interplanetary system. The human beings will be the space wanderers of the universe, searching life system of the universe. The timeline of the space age will be affected by many internal and external factors, whether human activities or natural events that will happen in the coming centuries. The transition of space ages will surely come as the social and technological predictions are within the objective bounds of human intelligence and the sixth sense of human life, structures, and processes. There will be changes of space age transitions, but the basics of its philosophical, social, and technological development will also be there. The world will never be the same again as we grow older by the wonders of information, technologies, and space development from 2010-2050. However, this stages of transition on space age depends so much about our faith in God and the generational correctional of human species attitude of the adoration of material wealth. Let the world grasps the inner thought of this social and technological prediction in the past be the guiding post, the development of sustained religion on its ethical and moral value to transcend the word wisdom of the Savior. I say your Amen. May God be with you forever as we live the exciting future of the space age.
Just days after celebrating her 42nd birthday, Britain's Princess Kate is in the hospital where she's recovering from abdominal.
Back in 1555, a young Frenchman named Nostradamus penned a series of prophetic poems. These writings, full of predictions about some of the biggest disasters in human history, still capture the attention of many politicians today. They believe these texts hold the blueprint for our future. Among those predictions, it's no surprise that the world's oldest royal family is featured prominently. Today, we're diving into the 5 Nostradamus predictions about the royal family. Let's get into it. The tragic end and the secret of inheritance of Queen Elizabeth II. You've definitely heard of Queen Elizabeth II. She's been on the throne longer than anyone, except for her great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. One of the most talked about predictions is about her death, especially in Europe. Meanwhile, in the US, it's the prophecy about an attack on Donald Trump that's more popular. According to Nostradamus, the last queen of Great Britain will be weighed down by old family conflicts before her passing. Her health will deteriorate due to her age, eventually forcing her out of the public eye. Her family may stay silent for a week, but they won't be able to keep her death a secret for long. Even though they'll try to honor her memory, her eldest grandchild will request a public funeral. Despite preparing her family for this moment, her passing will still be a major emotional blow, especially to the nation that almost sees her as immortal. But one thing's for sure, she won't be the last to sit on the throne. Another prophecy about the late queen may shock the world. Nostradamus predicts alleged secret lover with a say in Queen's $511 million inheritance. The late Queen was estimated to have a personal fortune of a staggering $465 million, which has sparked a new prediction from Nostradamus. According to the French apothecary's 23rd quatrain of the 6th century, a bombing will shake the British crown following the discovery of letters in the Queen's chest with no signature or author's name. The gifts, which refer to inheritance, will be hidden, and the identity of the alleged lover will not be known. This prophecy suggests that there is someone within the British royal family environment who could have a say in the monarch's inheritance. While the statement is viewed with suspicion in the United Kingdom, after Nostradamus's past success in predicting the death of Queen Elizabeth II, it has caught the attention of many. If the prophecy were to come true, the UK's secret services would undoubtedly be working on the issue to ensure a smooth succession without any scandal. As Nostradamus continues to captivate the world with his predictions, only time will tell if this latest prophecy will come to pass. The end of the monarchy. As for the downfall of the monarchy, this prophecy might hint at something deeper. Nostradamus predicted that Prince Harry would eventually take the throne, but only after overcoming one obstacle: his brother and nephews. Could we see a scenario similar to the biblical story of Cain and Abel, where the younger brother rises to power after eliminating his sibling? The end of the monarchy. This prophecy is the most significant one Nostradamus made about the UK. Even more interesting, these predictions have been backed up by Baba Vanga, one of the most well-known clairvoyants of today. You might wonder why this is such a big deal. Well, according to the prophecy, 2018 is when the UK's royal family loses political power over 15 out of the 16 sovereign states in the Commonwealth. Throughout this video, we've seen that the tipping point for all this will be Queen Elizabeth's death. Enemies of the crown will use her passing as a chance to dismantle the monarchy, even launching attacks on the royal family. But this won't just be an internal feud over who gets the throne. There will be deeper, hidden forces at play, influencing the centuries-old institution. Countries like Spain, France, and Germany will reject the UK's international policies, seeing the nation as an isolated troublemaker whose outdated ideologies only cause problems in Europe, worse than Greece or Italy, and all because of the royal family. Even the British public will start distancing themselves from the monarchy, reducing the influence of the kings to mere figureheads. Globally, the royal family will be seen as dishonest and corrupt, with their internal strife resembling the drama of Game of Thrones. Nostradamus even predicted that journalists who spoke out against the family would be jailed, but no one would ever know the full story. It would remain the biggest unsolved mystery in Europe, with theories revolving around betrayal and dishonor within the royal family, although the truth would likely be far different. A new king on the throne. Let's focus on William and Kate Middleton. Ever since they got married in 2011, there's been no shortage of predictions and rumors about their future. After all, William is second in line to the throne, and his wedding was a major event. But what does this mean in terms of Nostradamus's prophecies? What role does Lady Diana's eldest son play in these predictions? Well, not only is Queen Elizabeth II forecasted to pass away, but a prince and his children as well. So why do people think this refers to William? First off, William was born on June 21, 1982, right at the transition between Gemini and Cancer. Gemini represents new beginnings, while Cancer, symbolized by the crab, represents diseases that cling on until they cause death. Interestingly, William not only shares a close bond with his late mother, but also the same zodiac sign. Many saw Lady Diana as a threat to the monarchy, a cancer in the eyes of Queen Elizabeth. Could William be the metaphorical cancer that disrupts the monarchy? And let's not forget that Kate Middleton was born during a lunar eclipse, an event tied to the goddess Diana. The downfall of King Charles and the rise of Prince Harry. Although William is first in line to succeed King Charles III, according to Nostradamus's predictions, it's possible that William's younger brother may be the one chosen instead. Recent speculation has surfaced regarding predictions made by 16th century astrologer Nostradamus, suggesting a tumultuous future for Britain's King Charles in 2024 after his cancer diagnosis, which was discovered when he was undergoing treatment for an enlarged prostate. Royal observers speculated that King Charles might step down, either voluntarily or due to pressure related to his health. The revelation of King Charles's cancer diagnosis has left many questions unanswered, with Buckingham Palace withholding details regarding the cancer type and stage. This lack of transparency has fueled both concern and speculation about the monarch's health and the potential implications for the British monarchy. In his renowned work, Les Prophéties, Nostradamus seemingly forecasted the monarch's downfall, including potential abdication or forced removal. Nostradamus predicted the potential abdication of a king and the rise of an unexpected successor, which now seems to echo the current situation involving King Charles and Prince Harry. The ancient prophet said the king of the isles would be driven out by force and would be replaced by one who will have no mark of a king. Before that, he accurately predicted Queen Elizabeth II's passing at around the age of 96, a prophecy that aligned with Buckingham Palace's announcement of King Charles III's diagnosis following his mother's demise in 2022. However, the question of how Prince Harry, who has shown little interest in royal duties, would end up as king remains unanswered. The royal family has faced its fair share of scandals in recent years. However, the one that garnered the most headlines and caused papers and tabloids across the world to go nuts was Prince Harry's exit from the royal family and the fallout thereafter. Despite his decision to pull back from his familial duties, many wonder if Prince Harry could still rule as king. But is there any chance for Prince Harry? Following the news that Charles's health may be in jeopardy, some people naturally wondered what the line of succession for the throne would look like, and whether it's still possible for Harry to be the king. Here's what we know about whether Harry could still wind up on the throne. King Charles III believes there's simply no way back into the royal fold for his estranged son, Prince Harry, according to a report. After King Charles announced his health problem, Prince Harry dished on his father's cancer diagnosis in an interview, where he hinted that the recent health woes could have a reunifying effect on his family. Harry said, "I think any illness, any sickness brings families together. Look, I love my family. The fact that I was able to get on a plane and go and see him and spend any time with him, I'm grateful for that." But it seems that feeling is not reciprocated, as sources close to the monarch say he's firmly of the opinion that Harry can't return as a working royal. Another insider added, "Aside from a small number of investitures, the king does not plan to offload a great number of duties on other family members while he undergoes treatment." Other sources noted that Harry's half-in, half-out approach simply isn't enough to see him return to the royal fold with his wife, Meghan Markle. Despite that, insiders claim that Charles would be open to fixing his damaged relationship with his younger son. Elsewhere, Harry revealed that he's considered becoming an official U.S. citizen since settling into the California lifestyle after quitting royal life in 2020. When asked what's stopping him, Harry said, "I have no idea. I'm here doing this. The thought has crossed my mind, but not a high priority right now." Should Harry decide to become a U.S. citizen, he would be compelled to renounce his royal title. It's since been said that the royal family was not thrilled over Harry's decision to speak about his father's health woes on national television. Prince William is reportedly determined to prevent Prince Harry's attempts to return to the royal fold. The media reports that sources close to William say he would step up to the plate if needed in the wake of King Charles's cancer diagnosis, as he believes Harry and Meghan Markle cannot be trusted. The never, nada, no way response from William came after the Times of London reported that Harry had signaled his willingness to step up if needed, and the revelation that he and Charles had had several warm exchanges. On all practical levels, it makes perfect sense for the family to come together to support the king while he's sick. Much has been said on both sides in recent years, but that has never diminished the fundamental bond of blood, and there are now pragmatic aspects to consider, with the king and Kate Middleton's well-being paramount in this. Harry is ready and willing to help and genuinely believes it would work well for both parties. In his view, it wouldn't be dissimilar from what was proposed back in 2020, with a hybrid model of working. With the king's illness, there is perhaps more of a reason for those options to be considered. The Duke of Sussex has been excluded from the monarch's plans for the future of the royal family, with Harry's big brother Prince William at the center of Charles's plans. Royal expert exclusively tells the Mirror that the Prince of Wales is at the heart of the succession planning, but Harry has been left out of the monarchy's future because no one trusts Harry. After Harry and his wife Meghan Markle stepped down as senior working royals in January 2020, the expert believes they have been purposefully left out of the succession plans because they're no longer part of the inner circle in the monarchy. Harry is definitely not being included in succession talks because he is no longer a working or even a trusted royal. He has got his wish and is no longer the spare, or at least he is only nominally the spare. Officials had assumed Charles would remain healthy at least into his mid-80s before succession planning would need to begin, but in fact, it has now begun, and indicates perhaps that Charles's cancer is more dangerous than we have been led to believe. Planning for the future of the monarchy is a top-secret affair, and as Harry continues to comment on the royal family in high-profile interviews, he has been dubbed untrustworthy over fears he will spill the beans. Succession planning is highly secret, and no one trusts Harry to be part of it for the simple reason that if he feels in any way slighted or not given what he feels he deserves, he will run straight to the media, the expert explained. Prince Harry has spoken of his great sadness at leaving the royal family and said he and Meghan had no other option than to quit senior royal duties, but vowed the couple is not just walking away. However, the source close to William told the media, whatever has been discussed between William and the king is private, but it is absolutely and categorically clear that William would not allow Harry to return. He thought it was a bad idea at the time, and he's even more clear now. If anyone is going to take on more duties, it will be William, and that isn't even on the agenda for now. His main focus is on his father's health, his family, and what is best for the monarchy. There is a 0% chance Harry is coming back in any capacity. So the point here is that even the opportunity to return is still difficult, let alone sitting on the throne. There is no way back for the Duke of Sussex to take a temporary working role in the royal family, while his father is ill, although he is willing to step in. This is in accordance with the terms and conditions of Harry and Meghan's exit from their senior royal roles, which made clear there was to be no half-in, half-out option for them. Those terms were quite clear, and the king's illness hasn't altered that. Another source told the paper that Queen Elizabeth, King Charles, and Prince William's collective view that a hybrid model of working royalty was not appropriate remains the case. The matter was also not discussed when Harry recently met Charles. It's still technically possible for Harry to become the King of England, although he abandoned the world of royal protocols when he moved to the US and publicly denounced the press and certain members of his family because of the way they treated his wife. He could still become king and is currently 5th in line to the throne. Harry's position in the line of succession is a birthright, and it can't be taken away from him except through an act of parliament. For him to become the monarch, though, many things would have to happen. Prince William, Harry's older brother, is currently 1st in the line of succession and is expected to become king upon his father's death. For Harry to become king, William would have to die, as would his children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, who are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the line of succession, respectively. After Harry, in the line of succession is his son, Prince Archie, and then his daughter, Princess Lilibet. So yes, Harry could become king, but it would only happen after some sort of remarkable tragedy. What happens if Prince William abdicates? It seems exceedingly unlikely that William would abdicate if he ascends to the throne. He has been preparing to take the job since birth, but if he did, and Prince George was not yet 18, then it's possible that Harry could be called upon to serve as King Regent until George turned 18. In that event, though, Harry would just be a temporary steward of the throne until his nephew was ready to become the actual king. In that circumstance, it's also not clear that Harry would be the person to be called on to act as regent, because other senior royals could take on the role. Even if Harry was called to serve as king or king regent, it seems distinctly possible that he would choose to abdicate for the sake of his own family and mental health. He clearly doesn't enjoy the scrutiny that comes with being a royal, and that scrutiny would only increase if he ever became king. Prince Harry reunion. The world should be prepared for a new royal baby and a possible family reunion, according to Gall Eden Sasson, an astrologer. Those are his predictions for the royal family in 2024. This year brings a plethora of retrogrades and some potentially life-disrupting eclipses for everybody, and this includes members of the royal family. Harry's chart is moving into the house of money, talent, and self-worth. It's also going to move into his house of community, marketing, and sales, Mr. Sasson said. As well as having success in his ventures in the new year, the astrology expert also forecasts that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle could have a third child when Jupiter moves into his house. Gall, author of the Astrology of 2023, Traversing the Bridge. Movement of the People, said Jupiter has been in Harry's house and family for the last year, for the first time in the river 80 years, which is the planet of unpredictable, crazy energy. After that, there will most likely be a reunion of the royal brothers. The reunion or patching up could be between the two brothers, who have become somewhat estranged in recent times. Sasson said Prince William, a Sagittarius Capricorn, was born during a new moon and close to a solar eclipse, which is a pretty powerful sign for a ruler, but it is likely he will be a late bloomer and things will take time for him. But is this reunion possible? When the king announced that he had cancer, the Duke of Sussex, who withdrew from his role as a senior member of the British royal family, along with Meghan Markle, flew back to England to visit the king. It is known that Harry is also ready to return to temporary missions to support King Charles. However, Prince of Wales, William, who is angered by his younger brother's repeated attacks on the monarchy, is expected to block any attempt by Harry to return to the royal family. Sources close to William say that after King Charles III was diagnosed with cancer, William would take on more duties himself if necessary. The Prince of Wales also thinks Harry and Meghan cannot be trusted. A source close to the matter said it was unlikely William would allow his younger brother to return to royal duties. Whatever was discussed between William and the king was private, but it's clear William won't allow Harry back. William used to think it was a bad idea, and now he's even more clear with that in mind. If anyone is going to take on more duties, it will be William. His focus is on his father's health, his family, and what's best for the monarchy. 0%. It's possible that Harry will return in any capacity, the source said. Previously, in his autobiography Spare, Harry criticized his family, accusing his brother of pushing him into a dog bowl in a fit of rage. He also directed his attacks at his stepmother, Queen Camilla, and sister-in-law, the Princess of Wales. Last year, a book by Omid Scobie, said to be Harry and Meghan's spokesman, sparked controversy over allegations of racism within the British royal family. The two royals are said to have discussed the skin color of the Sussex's son. King Charles believes building bridges with Harry and Meghan will benefit the monarchy, but believes any official role for the Duke of Sussex would be a step backwards. In 2020, when the Sussexes left the royal family to seek financial freedom, the late Queen Elizabeth II refused their request to both perform duties on behalf of the monarchy and be allowed to pursue commercial interests. The British royal family at that time came to an agreement that allowed the Sussexes to seek a new life outside the home, but prohibited them from declaring themselves princes or taking advantage of royal connections for commercial gain. From the above information, do you think it is possible for Harry to reunite with the royal family? The answer is maybe no. But wait, King Charles is Prince Harry's only chance of royal return. It means that Prince Harry can only come back to the royal family while Charles is still king, claims royal commentator. Prince Harry was warned that time is running out by a royal commentator who urged him to act while King Charles is still monarch if he ever wants to be welcomed back into the royal fold. Harry's rift with the firm, particularly with his brother, Prince William, has been deepening ever more since their sensational departure, particularly after the pair made a series of bombshell claims about the royals. While it is understood that Harry wants to reconcile with his family and father, the two feuding brothers' relationship is still considered frosty, and they are not on speaking terms. Now, a royal commentator has suggested that if Harry ever wants to come back to the royal family, he needs to do it before his brother becomes king, as William is likely never going to let him resume his duties in any capacity in the future. According to many sources, Prince Harry seemed to be itching to leave the royal family even before he married Meghan Markle. In an interview with author Angela Levin, the Duke of Sussex claimed he wanted out of royal life. "I spent many years kicking my heels and I didn't want to grow up. I felt I wanted out but then decided to stay in and work out a role for myself," Harry told the journalist. He then recounted what it was like to walk with his brother Prince William behind their mother Princess Diana's coffin at her 1997 funeral when they were barely teens. "I don't think any child should be asked to do that, under any circumstances. It certainly wouldn't happen today," he recalled. Once one of the most beloved members of the royal family, Prince Harry has faced public backlash since marrying Meghan. This has been accompanied by a series of controversial statements and actions that have led many people to turn against him. Many think he overplayed his hand a little when declaring war on the media and the royal family. Being born as a monarch is a curse and a blessing. Massive privileges and massive duties. People hate him for getting rid of the royal duties, and they're right in a way, because that's what granted him his wealth. Yeah, he never asked for it, but you don't see him exchanging his luxurious life for an average income by donating all his surplus wealth either. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle met in London and eventually got estranged by the rest of the royal family over alleged racist treatment against Meghan. Prince Harry details in his book that he immediately reacted after taking notice of this behavior. The couple decided to move to the United States of America, where they share friendships with numerous powerful people in entertainment. We already know how most of people view the royal couple, but there are many more who apparently can't stand them. Especially during the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, British tabloids obsessively condemn everything that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, did or did not do during the funeral. Dressed in all black, her gloves touching her elbows and hat tilted on her head, Meghan wiped away a tear from her cheek. This single tear sparked a controversy that overtook chat rooms and trended on media. It is shocking that a common thing, like crying at a funeral, could provoke so much arguing. The public deemed Meghan's single tear fake and disrespectful, even though the only people who know the genuine relationship between Meghan and the Queen are not working for the press. Many years after getting married, Prince Harry and Meghan have not had a moment of peace in terms of the British media. Meghan received a lashing. The British public believed she had taken the prince away. She is the reason why he distanced himself from his family. The British public is convinced that she lied about every aspect of her story, with Prince Harry following suit. The Queen's funeral was a time for the family to mourn the loss and heal the hurt that caused tension. Nevertheless, the public continued fanning the flames. Meghan found herself as the outsider once again. It is no easier to deal with all of this when the media reports that her sister-in-law dislikes her and that the rest of the family would rather her not show up. What is it about Meghan that makes everyone in the UK so uncomfortable? Meghan's life with Prince Harry was supposed to be a fairy tale, yet it is more like a nightmare wrapped in a Shakespearean tragedy. Another reason that British citizens don't really like Meghan, because Meghan Markle is being called out for intentionally mimicking her mother-in-law, Princess Diana's mannerisms and way of speech. People said that Meghan tries to emulate Diana in the way she positions herself. Over their years in the royal spotlight, both Kate and Meghan have repeatedly worn outfits with stylistic links to their late mother-in-law, who has come to be celebrated as one of the most fashionable royals of all time in the years since her death at the age of 36 in 1997. Public acknowledges that finding a trend untouched by Diana's iconic style is almost impossible, but also adds that the huge amount of effort that goes into channeling her exact look sometimes goes beyond the pale. Whenever Meghan and Kate step out in fashion looks that are linked to Princess Diana in some way, whether through an aesthetic similarity or designer, It generates a surge of reporting and social media commentary. While Kate is consistently praised for her elegance, Meghan receives many mixed opinions. In that poised, orchestrated elegance, in that mimicking of Diana, in that Caroline Kennedy-style intentional, very natural, very slow speech, being aghast at the word diva. They also urged Meghan to stop talking about the royal family and let it go, saying that her constant digs at the family are sure to affect her husband, Prince Harry. Meghan Markle also blasted for inviting comparison with Kate Middleton in everything she does. A former royal correspondent has blasted Meghan Markle for inviting comparison between herself and Kate Middleton. Michael Cole has criticized the Duchess of Sussex for promoting her latest lifestyle products just hours before Kate made her first public appearance since her cancer diagnosis. Nacho Figueras, an Argentinian polo player close to Prince Harry and Meghan, promoted the Duchess's latest products on Instagram just hours before the event began. Figueras shared images of raspberry jam and dog biscuits, which will be available from Meghan's lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. Michael Cole told that Meghan invites comparison with Kate with such moves, something that doesn't come off very well. Kate was a child of a middle-class family. She wasn't trained to be a princess of the royal blood. And she wasn't, of course, ever an actress, Cole said. And in everything that Meghan Markle does, she invites a comparison with the Princess of Wales. And I'm afraid in that comparison, Meghan Markle doesn't come off very well. People thought that maybe Meghan wanted to overshadow Kate's appearance. Royal expert Richard Fitzwilliams previously told The Sun that although Harry might have had some regrets about not being able to attend Trooping the Colour, Meghan possibly would not care. The two were snubbed from the annual event for the second time in a row. I think Meghan would be indifferent to a ceremony like Trooping the Colour, quite frankly, he said.